Namanda-butsu. So I would like to read from Shoshin Nembutsuge, Hymns of a True Interesting Heart, and the Nembutsu was written by Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu. Please join me in Gasho. Put your hand together if you can. The person burned with extreme evil should simply say the name, although I too am within Amida's grasp. Passions obstruct my eyes, and I cannot see the light. Nevertheless, great compassion is untiring and illuminates me always. 極重悪人はただ仏を称すべし、我またかの摂取のうちにあれども、煩悩眼を抑えられても、立て祀らずといえども、大非物浮きことなく常に我を照らしたもと言えり。極重悪人唯小仏、が薬在非摂取中、煩悩証言水風剣、大非無限上昇が、ナマンダー仏、ナンマンダ仏、ナンマンダ仏、ナンマンダ仏。So good morning, everyone. Thank you for logging in Twin Cities Sanga's Sunday service today. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying the final few weeks of summer. I'm very grateful to see some new faces today. Welcome, everyone. I will introduce myself briefly. My name is Reverend Chiemi Onikura. I am the Assistant Minister of Twin Cities Buddhist Association. I was raised in Temple family in Fukuoka, Japan, and then graduated from a Buddhist high school and college, which is Jodo Shinshu schools, the same Buddhist sects as our Twin Cities Sangha. I moved to the States in 2000 and have lived in Minnesota the entire time with my husband and then 2 sons and 1 daughter. They are all teenagers now. I ordained after I came to the States, and then I became assistant minister for this Sangha. So we have more new people today than usual because we had an opportunity to introduce our Sangha last Sunday, Twin Cities Buddhist, at Obon Festival at Como Park in St. Paul. The Obon Festival was canceled in 2020 because of the pandemic. So smaller in size with only just floating lanterns on a pond in 2021. And finally, this year, the event fully returned to the exact circumstances before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, our Twin Cities Sangha had started to be invited us to be there because Obon is the Buddhist holiday. So we had a booth explaining what Obon is. It is a seasonal tradition in Japan related to the Japanese Buddhism. Also, we explain what Buddhism is, Jodo Shinshu is, and then introduce our Sangha, Twin Cities Sangha. The first, I'd like to thank the staff for using your time to work for us. So it was one of the most beautiful summer days in Minnesota. I enjoyed being there and chatting with people and meeting people. I hope all our volunteer members enjoyed it too. So we have much free stuff to give, which is the fans, uchiwa, the people can use for Obon dancing. Many pins have some nice words on them, and then many free books and booklets and pamphlets, and then people can learn about Buddhism and Jodo Shinshu. The most people stopped by at our booth. They were already interested in Buddhism, and they had studied or practiced it. So we realized that much more people were interested in Buddhism before. I was very happy to see that, and then for me, it is another excellent opportunity to re-study what Buddhism is, and then what is Jodo Shinshu is. So I made the little pamphlets to hand to the people for the event. It explains the meaning of Obon, including the Buddhist story, and also it explained Buddhism and then Jodo Shinshu and our Jodo Shinshu Sangha, TCBA. So what is Buddhism? What is Jodo Shinshu? Jodo Shinshu is also called Shin Buddhism. So today, I'd like to briefly talk about Jodo Shinshu's teaching. It is almost impossible to explain the entire teaching in 10 to 20 minutes. So I will try to focus on the essence of Jodo Shinshu. Jodo Shinshu's headquarters in North America, it's called the Buddhist Church of America, also called the BCA. The website explains Jodo Shinshu like this. Although not as well known as other Buddhist traditions like Zen or Tibetan, Shin Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, is a path that suits for the people of this age. It does not require a monastic life or undergoing difficult practices. It is a path that listening to the teaching is one's everyday life. The founder, Shinran Shonin, left the monastic tradition after 20 long years. He married and then raised a family and then followed a path that focused on the recitation of the Buddha's name called Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. In the path, a person of any background could both recite the name and then listen to the Dharma in one's everyday life. This tradition has continued for nearly 800 years in Japan and has a history in the US for over 100 years. So first of all, I should talk about the founder of Jodo Shinshu. The founder is Shinran Shonin, who lived in the 12th century in Japan during the Kamakura period. Shinran is his name, and Shonin is the way to call the religious teacher the most respectful. So he had an extremely difficult monastic practice for 20 years. And he met his master Honen Shonin, and then had received the true teaching of the Pure Land. Although we look up to him as the founder, he did not intend to start the new tradition. Instead, he always considered himself simply a person who accepted Amida Buddha's primal vow and lived within a great compassion. He always considered himself a disciple, an ordinary person just like us. On the BCA's website explained, it said, Jodo Shinshu is the path suited for the people of this age. It does not require monastic life or any difficult practices, just like a path of the listening, the Dharma, and just the everyday life. The path suited for the people of this age, what does it mean? Why not require the monastic life or difficult practice? Only listening the teaching and reciting Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, why is it enough? So I will talk about a little more about these questions. So this religion is a path. This religion changes our world view. Our view usually starts from my view. My view relies on my judgmental mind, which is we believe ourselves, I am right, I'm doing right. So this means we start criticizing others if we see something different from our own view. The teaching of the Buddha and the Buddha's compassionate light makes us think that there is more to this world than just my ego and my desires. It may seem like a slight differences, negligible at first. Just try to take a moment to think like, yeah, I'm right. But wait a minute. just get to see the world in an entirely different way from before. But we must think about this carefully. This is how Buddhists are often stereotyped. So Buddhism required specific practice or training. If you come to the temple for a long time or study Buddhism or meditated for a long time, so you will somehow be enlightened or find a way to calm down all the time or so. So these the images of a Buddhist path for many people's pictures. But Jodo Shinshu doesn't talk about it. Jodo Shinshu, the teaching that makes us aware of who we are and accepting ourselves as imperfect beings, and getting us to make others around us. So the Buddha's teaching teaches us that we are okay just as we are. We are all embraced by the power of Amida Buddha's primary vow. On the pamphlet we handed to at the Obon Festival, in the little section about our Sangha, so we see Shinran Shonin's words, "Come as you are." So this implies Jodo Shinshu's essence, "Come as you are." We are okay just as we are. In Japanese, sono mama, ari no mama, which means as it is. In Jodo Shinshu's teaching, there are no requirements to be accepted into the Pure Land, to be taken into the better place or so. So we have no bar needed to be met to be considered as a Buddhist. We don't have to prove ourselves or worthy to being saved. So we don't have to strive to do it. So we are fine just the way we are. We all have good and bad points. We all have strength and weakness. That's who we are. This will be totally opposite from this mundane world. So we have to strive and move up or higher excellence ranking, higher ranks of spiritual superiority, or you should strive to be a better person than you are before. Is that sounds familiar to us? Is that what we are used to hearing? This is good to have a particular area, but it shouldn't apply to all aspects of our lives. Because we are all different. We live freely and have uniqueness in this world. This religion teaches us that our spiritual lives are not competition. So Buddhism is about awakening and realizing the truth. It is all about here and now. We live in unsettling, chaotic time. The teaching shows us a path through chaos. True religion teaching is about understanding right here with us, embracing us and supporting us. The truth grasps us. We human beings don't grasp the truth. Even though we cannot see the truth is right there with us. We are the ones sometimes often covering our own eyes and don't want to know the truth. That's why we are suffering and then can't accept the fact that the human life is all about. On Shinran Shonin's writing, which I read at the beginning of my talk today, the person burdened with extreme evil should simply say the name. Although I too am with the Mida's grasp. Passions obstruct my eyes, I cannot see the light. Nevertheless, great compassion is untiring and illuminates me always. So Shinran Shonin used the words extreme evil, gokuju no akunin in Japanese, to mention human beings. The word evil used in Jodo Shinshu does not refer to the bad as defined as our narrow and judgmental notions of morality. It points to something with much deeper roots. As human beings, it is impossible to avoid behaving in a negative way, even when we may believe we are leading relatively innocent lives. His phrase is adapted into another writing written by one of his disciples called Tan Nisho, a record in Remnant of Divergences. The evil person is the true object of emancipation. So Amida Buddha's compassion for us is so great, and he cannot reject us, even while lamenting the negative karma created. It is all about each one of us. That is why all sentient beings can be liberated. So we don't reach for it, like we are reaching to get promotion in our job or to make more money. So we don't strive to reach heaven or Pure Land. Instead, the truth reached for us, grasp us, embracing us. This understanding is challenging because it is opposite to the common sense. We are used to hearing like, you should work harder or strive to be a better person. If you failed, you failed. This shouldn't apply to all aspects of our lives. The true teaching accept us as we are in Jodo Shinshu. So in Jodo Shinshu, the mindset is you should try your best, but it is okay if you fail. It is okay if you can make it. So you are fine just the way you are. The Buddha has compassion and embraces all sentient beings equally without giving preferences to one or the other. All lives are embraced by truth, this religion teaches. We are okay just as we are doesn't mean you should give up being a perfect person. You should accept your present conditions. The Buddha Dharma teaching provides us spiritual strength, and then this change our worldview from an egoistic and self-centered mind. So it is like just taking the pause and to stop, think like I'm right, but wait a minute, it is all about me. So reciting Namo Amida Butsu, which means I rely upon Amida Buddha, the Buddha with immeasurable wisdom and compassion. It is not self-power acting. It is not asking for something like helping me or forgive me. It is the way to hear calling out from Amida Buddha. We are okay just as we are because we have been given a teaching that allows us to live freely and uniquely in this world. Even though we are in a shell of selfishness and then don't realize how much we are foolish, the Buddha's compassion is for all sentient beings equally. So we all see ourselves as a being who are embraced in a world of light and wisdom and compassion, which is called Pure Land or Jodo. So I'm pleased to share this religious tradition with you, which makes available to us worldview that occurs in the world of the wisdom and compassion. So I'd like to close today's talk. Please join me in Gassho. Put your hand together if you can. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.